What's up, y'all, and welcome to Your Hair Made Simple, the podcast where we encourage you to embrace your natural hair with clarity, confidence, and courage. I'm your host, Shannon, and we are back with another exciting episode. I'm so honored today to have with me Deonna of These Beauties, based out of Lithonia, Georgia, and originally from the beautiful West Indies. And so today we are going to be chatting about our experiences with braiders. How do we navigate our relationship with our braiders, like the customer experience and care, and overall choosing some styles that are best for us in our hair. So Deonna, I'm so excited to have you with us today. Thank you for your yes. I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in, let you say hello, and tell us a little bit about what is your hair story.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm Deonna. I'm a braider. I'm a makeup artist as well. So yeah, I appreciate you reaching out, and I'm excited to see where our conversation today leads us. So you said to share a little bit of my hair story?
Yep. So what is your hair story?
Okay, so my hair story is growing up, I never really learned how to take care of my hair per se. A lot of memories that I have when I was younger is just me getting it braided or my mom relaxing me and my sister's hair or dyeing it. So I don't have a lot of memories of me personally doing my hair growing up. So we just always kept it in braids. We always went to the braid shop. And it's partially how I learned how to braid, just by being in the braid shops for hours watching them work. So yeah, that's pretty much my hair journey growing up.
No, I think that makes so much sense, right? Because for a lot of us, one, we're all growing up, we don't really have that much agency. So our parents are the ones making choices for us about our hair, how it's going to look. And so it's funny because like you're a braider now, right? And so when you were growing up, a lot of what you were experiencing was going and learning, braiding by seeing, by being in that environment and by being in the craft. So I'm curious, what inspired you, right? Because you said you didn't really do your hair yourself. Other people were doing it for you. You have this beautiful fro. I love it. But what inspired you to focus on braiding, right? Becoming a braider and like taking care of hair?
Good question. So growing up, I used to always have dollies, like dolls. And I guess I would braid their hair, just playing with my toys. And so when my sister and I, when we came up here, our dad was our primary parent. So it was our auntie. She used to take us to the braid shops to get our hair braided. So because it was two of us, my family couldn't afford to get our hair done as often. So we would keep those styles in for like 3 months, like a long time. So one time my dad, he came to me and he asked me, Deonna, why don't you try doing your sister's hair, braiding your sister's hair, and I'll help assist you, because we had some leftover here. And I was like, sure. I didn't think nothing of it because I guess at the time I was already braiding my dolly's hair. And so we did it. It turned out really nice. And then a few days later, he asked me, would I mind doing my hair? And then he'll help assist me with the part. And then so I did my hair. It turned out really nice. I even have pictures till this day. And that was honestly the start of my braiding journey. Ever since then, every summer, I did our hair. And it just went from there and grew from there.
Yes. And how old did you say you were, like when you first did your hair and your sister's hair?
Well, I had to have been around 10 or 11.
Yeah.
11. Yeah, it's really small, tiny.
You said something that I think is so impactful about you were already braiding your doll's hair. So you had a place to like learn and play and it felt safe, right? To kind of like experiment with hair. So that way it was like a confidence building tool. So that way when it was like time to be like, okay, like I've been practicing, like I think I can do this. I've been observing it in other places. I've been practicing myself. I can do this on other people. And I think that's so fascinating because, some people don't necessarily have the opportunity to play with their hair as much. And so it can kind of build a bit of tension or a bit of resistance. But for you, you had like that kind of safe environment and space to like practice and learn before it came to doing your own hair yourself.
Right. And honestly, it was just all my dad because I didn't know it at the time, but whatever he saw, he thought that I could do it. So I'm just grateful that he pushed me because he pushed me into what has become today.
Right. Being the COO of These Beauties, braiding, being a creator of your own braiding style, right? So like talk to me about the Tetris braids. Like one, just even refining your craft over time. You said you did that when you were 10, now you're 25. So that 15 years of refining a craft and also being a creator of a unique braiding design. So talk to me about that.
So the Tetris braids came about, it was around a time I saw a picture of a style that Rihanna had. It was like this crazy kind of design style. And I believe a braider, she had recreated it or braided it on a client. And then at the time I was doing my sister's hair consistently. So my sister, she was like, Deonna, I kind of want this style. And I was like, it looks pretty cool. It intrigued me because I always was drawn to designs and stuff. So I was like, hey, I'm going to try it. So I did it on my sister's hair. And then that was that. And then a whole year later, I had a client reached out to me and she sent that same picture of a style that Rihanna had got. And I was like, So I did it on her, but I added like my own tweak to it. Like I added more braids and more designs. And it's so crazy because that day when I did her hair, all I listened to was gospel music the whole time, braiding her hair. So I don't know if that had something to do with it. The Holy Spirit was present. So
a little divine inspiration.
And I posted a video on TikTok and Instagram, and it went viral on both, but it went super viral on TikTok. And so many people were commenting. They were like, these are reminding me of like, this is how our ancestors got out of slavery. These braids remind me of hieroglyphic. These are giving Tetris braids. Like so many people were saying so many things. And I was like, I need a name for this because people are asking for their style. So I reached out to my TikTok and I asked them, what should I name this style? And I saw so many comments saying Tetris braids. And I was like, Tetris braids. Because I remember growing up playing the game Tetris. And the parts kind of resemble like the Tetris puzzle part. And I was like, there you go. We have it. Tetris braids. And that was the birth of that style.
And it's up and it's stuck. Okay.
Right.
So I think it's so interesting. People were saying that it reminded them of like how our ancestors got out of slavery, right? And like how they would put like different patterns so they could navigate like waves. And I think that's I personally get overwhelmed with just braiding like a little row, but I think to be able to have that gift to like not only braid, but braid in detail and dimension, like that's something that is very unique to when you are practicing, right? Because I think it takes time to like just even learn how to braid cleanly, but then to come in and do design. And I'm thinking about as I'm talking, like for myself and all my friends that I know who don't know how to braid at all, right? Like who wish they knew how to braid their own hair or like have kids and they want to learn how to braid hair for their kids. And you being a self-taught braider, I think that's something really special. How do you kind of like practice and train your mind or train your hands to braid, essentially like to learn these designs and patterns and get good at it?
Good question. So if there's ever a design that I want to learn or that I want to practice, I always check to see if there's like a video on YouTube of someone demonstrating like a tutorial. Like that's how I taught myself how to do knotless braids. I just watched a tutorial, but I've never taken a class. Like I've never taken any braiding classes or anything, which is so crazy to me. Everything I've learned was either from my followers or from YouTube videos. But honestly, I would say just practice. Practice makes perfect. And whenever I'm in the middle of perfecting like a certain braiding skill, I will start out by asking, I need a model for such and such. Or I will post a style under my services, but make it really, really affordable. And also, you can let people know like, hey, this is my second time trying this style,
Yeah.
If you feel that I'm mastering. So honestly, yeah, that will be my answer. Just practicing makes perfect. And there have been times when I've gotten frustrated and stuff. And also my sister, a lot of the times she was my guinea pig with trying new designs and new styles. So a lot of the styles I've started on her first.
When it comes to customer interactions, are there any specific things that you do to make sure they feel welcome? Like a lot of people feel like they struggle to find braiders that are good with communication. Like they might have an appointment and then they find that they're getting canceled. Like how do you like make sure that your clients feel seen and supported? And like what are things that people can be looking for when they're looking for a good braider experience? Like what are some signs that they can be on the lookout for?
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So one thing that I do that is very important for me is typically most braiders that you come across when you book with them, as you're booking, they want you to to know exactly what color you're doing, They have the address sent in the confirmation email. Like everything is pretty much digital. However, how I like to go about things is after my clients book, I always reach out to my clients prior to their appointment because it's good to get a read off of energy and to kind of introduce yourself to your clients over text message. So that's when I will ask them, hey, how would you like the style braided that you have selected? What colors would you like? And then that opens the space for me to tell them the colors I provide. And then I'm telling the remaining how I will like the payment, the address, just to get some familiarity going. So I think that's important. I think that's what sets me apart from other braiders as well, because most braiders, they don't want no communication beforehand. They just want you to show up on the day of your appointment. And I do answer my DMs on Instagram whenever client or potential customers have questions. I always answer them. And I do accept phone calls as well if people prefer to speak over the phone.
So it sounds like some of the big things that like one, just even in terms of interaction, right? Because like you want to make sure that the skill set is there, right? And people can observe those things and get that information too. But it's like I know I've had some talented braiders and it's like, you ghosted me. Like, please no. Like, I mean, like people want somebody that's reliable. And so like some of the signs like people can be on the lookout for is like really kind of like the responsiveness to questions, the consistency of detail and information, really their openness to like really talk and explain like what people are going through and the willingness to collaborate. That are some of the set apart things in terms of customer experience that make it worth it, right? To like come and interact and work with you.
For sure.
So another question that I was wondering about in terms of like interactions that you're having when clients come and maybe they like don't necessarily know what they like want with their hair. Are there ever moments that you have to kind of guide them in their braids or in their styles, or maybe where they want something that isn't the best for their hair? And how do you navigate those experiences?
For time purposes, there's a client who's reaching out and she's not sure what to do with her hair. I always recommend them booking a consultation. So I will always have consultations beforehand, especially if clients have problem areas or they would like to see if their hair is long enough. I always recommend consultations beforehand. And then that's when we will discuss, what styles are best, what style will be long lasting. All of that, we'll go over all of the questions. I will tell them my personal advice and even down to if they're unsure what color they want to get, or if they have a unique hair color and they would like to find out what hair colors mixed well would be best for the style that they desire. So
honestly, that's
how
really
I'll go about that. Yeah. And I also do, when it comes to, because I have had situations where clients desire a certain style, and I know that it's not the best style for their hair, and I will let them know. Yeah.
Would all braiders let them know?
No, all braiders wouldn't. Just like all braiders wouldn't let you know if they would say, yes, I can do that style, knowing they can't do that.
Yeah. And so to that point, right, because integrity is really important quality, right? Just in terms of interacting with people. So for people who are really trying to source through, like people that are going to be honest with them versus people that might just say, yeah, I can do this style, or, and then they come out not happy, or they come out, maybe their hair is more damaged than it should have been because like somebody could have just been honest and said like, hey, this isn't the style for you. Like, how can people kind of better guard themselves against, people that might just be trying to say yes to say yes? Are there
That's a good question.
Yeah. Or any just ways that like they could better vet the braiders, like in terms of style, but if they do certain styles, or even the things they can look out for in the interactions, even if it's just like people being quick to say yes, and without questions or detail.
That's a good question. It's honestly hard to tell in this era of social media, but I would say that's why word of mouth is important. Most of my clients are from word of mouth. And when it comes to just things in general, most people go off of word of mouth. I would not recommend anyone to jump on the train of the most popular braider, or the braider who's doing all the celebrities, or, the braider with the most followers, or the braider who is always booked, or the braider who's the most talented braider in this season. Because social media only shows you 10%. It only shows you the talent. So it can be very hard to decipher, exactly what it is that you're looking for.
I know some people that they're just like, oh, well, this is popular. Do I need to try it? Right. But even just like everything that's popular isn't worth trying sometimes, like, especially when it comes to braiders and trends, because like you said, like, we live in a world of social media. We live in a world of consumption and like things here today and gone tomorrow. So it sounds like in addition to word of mouth, something might also be helpful is longevity. Granted, like some people are new, but then that's where word of mouth comes in. But like consistency of quality is something that's really important to look for as well.
Yes.
So I think you gave a pretty good answer and insight as well. Because a lot of us, we're just out here trying to get the best braids. We don't know other braiders. That's why we're constantly on the search for a new braider, because we don't know enough braiders in our life. I have yet to find a braider here in DC. So the insights that you have are really helpful for people just to know how to navigate and figure out what's best for their hair. Because a braider is a trusted experience. I was talking to my best friend and she was like, I had to give up my braider like 10 years because, the interaction just got inconsistent and she was just doing things that she learned over time like weren't the best for her hair. So braiders are like a sacred relationship.
Yes. I didn't know the power that it had. I didn't know the power that it had. And I ran from this calling, this purpose in a sense, but there's a lot of power. Not power, but there's a lot of meaning. It's not just doing hair. It's so many other emotions and stuff attached to it. So I'm honored to be blessed with my gift and my talent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the experience of getting your hair braided, it's intimate. One, you're trusting somebody with your hair. You're there for a long time. You end up talking about life. You end up talking about all these other things. Ideally, you're coming consistently if you found somebody of good quality. So you really get to build a trusted relationship with somebody. You're trusting them to make sure your hair doesn't fall out your head, that they don't pull it out. It's a very vulnerable spot for people to be in.
Yes. And you go through life together, because I recently just went to a client's baby shower. Like, I met her way before her husband was trying to have family, and I walked with her through the journey into motherhood. And it's just amazing when my clients see me grow and when I see my clients grow into life. So it's a constant pouring into each other. And so I've learned that even in my business, even with my clientele, I have to be cautious about who is around me. So it's been good, this entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah, aligned character, aligned values, aligned persons. Because like you said, you're letting people into your world and into your life, and ideally for a long haul, like for a long-term relationship. I'm curious when they're booking too, and like when you're actually going through and styling, this is just like a purely opinion question, right? Because I know some people, and I've seen an uptake in it as well. Like even when I just go to like get flat twists or different styles, but like the use of gel, like I personally feel like the gel has the people in a like not that like it's helpful, but like this an overuse of gel and mousse.
Yes.
Can you talk about why? What's going on? Why is this happening?
Yes, there's definitely been a lot of talk about these braiders these days. The Africans back in the days they weren't using this much gel.
Yeah.
These braiders these days can't braid without gel. So I braided without gel before. I have a friend of mine and she's typically allergic to most gel. And so she will challenge me to braid with only grease or just nothing. And yeah, it can be challenging at times, but I am still able to braid. And I have had clients in the past who they were allergic to certain gels, or they didn't like the extra firm gels because it caused a lot of buildup in their hair and stuff. So they will bring in their own gel of preference. And so if a client has their own preference of a gel that they want to use, I just tell them to send it to me beforehand just to see if it's a gel that I'm familiar with. And every time it's been good, and they just bring it in and I use it. I know some braiders, they're more like, this is the gel that I use. This is my preference. So if you do book with me, this is the gel that I'm using. And to each their own, but I'm a braider. If someone has their own preference and it's a gel that I can work with, I'll work with them.
Yeah.
Say if it's a gel, it's not as firm and a client has like foresee here my texture here and they're getting large knot lists, I'll just be upfront with them, tell them, okay, it may not last as long, the gel. So, I would just be honest with them about, or this gel is aloe vera based. So it might whiten up if it's super dry or this build up. So just make sure you wash your edges at night. So, I would just inform them if there's anything that I come across about the certain gel they're using.
Yeah. But you just said three important things. So one, because like for myself, like I'm not a big gel girly. So like just knowing that there's the option too, because some people don't like the option that like we can use something else besides gel, because people oftentimes just go into a braider's chair and they don't feel empowered to ask questions. And they just kind of come away with like whatever it is, whether or not they're happy. But like knowing that there is always the option to ask for no gel or like ask for less or ask for not. But you also said that too, like looking at the gels and saying like, okay, your hair is 4C. So maybe you need like a firmer hold, or if it has aloe vera or something like that, then it's going to flake. So just being informed about the different uses for them. Like it sounds like every hair texture doesn't require as much or doesn't even require the same type of firmness or holes in terms of gel, which maybe is, especially if it's like somebody who's just using this one type of gel, isn't always translated well depending on the client's hair. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's pretty fair, because no hair is created equal. All of our hair is different. We all have different hair type, hair densities. And so sometimes we're not aware of how our hair will react to a gel, just like, a skincare product. So, yeah, it's same thing.
Yeah. And so I hope that like folks too feel empowered to like ask, right? Like, hey, like, is this appropriate for like my hair is fine? Like, even if people aren't asking you, like just providing that information, like, I know my hair is soft, like, is this gel going to be appropriate, or asking for less? And just one, researching what people are using that you're going to, but also like feeling empowered to ask the questions yourself of people when you're vetting them beforehand, or even when you get there. Cause ultimately you want to feel happy with the styles that you have and that you're walking away with.
And I would just say for anyone listening, if you have any questions, be sure to ask your braider beforehand, before you even put your money, before you even sit down in the chair, because most times once you sit down, it's too late, and that's just a disservice to you and your stylist. It's good to let people know beforehand. And then also I would say, if you have questions as a potential customer, as a client, the stylist for you is going to answer your questions. It's going to tend to your needs.
Yeah.
So if you haven't come across that yet, then I just pray that you find the stylist for you. But don't take it as just of your experience with one braider or two braiders doesn't mean all braiders are like that. Pretty much what I'm trying to say.
Don't settle. Don't settle in life.
Don't settle. It's so simple. It's just here. Any professional, if you go into any profession, if you go and get any kind of medical procedure, if you go to get a tattoo, if you go to get a piercing, if you go to get a facial, they're going to ask questions. Hey, does this chemical work well with my skin type? I have oily skin. Hey, I have this skin condition. Can I get this tattoo right here? So it's the same with hair. Hey, my hair is fine and thin. Will this gel be a little bit too firm? If a braider or a stylist has an attitude with that question, I'm not sure where the trigger is coming from, because these are people's crowns. These are people's crowns. This is not a style to go viral on TikTok and a trend. No, these are people here. There's so much emotions attached to our hair. It's not something to take lightly. It's just here, but it's not just here.
No, it is and it isn't. It's yours, like me, like yours personally, for you to have fun with, for you to enjoy, for you to embrace, and for you to care for. But also it's not for other people to play with, right? Like it's not like there's a level of care and there's a level of detail and there's a level of information. So it's kind of twofold. But you just set a whole bar. So I'm going to just leave that question. We're stewards.
We're stewards of your crowns. So you want to find somebody that you can entrust with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then my last question about the experience, right? But a lot of people, they're like braiders, they're charging so much, the prices are so high, and I have to come like with all this stuff already done. Like,
Yeah.
What's happening just in the braiding industry with pricing? I understand, I know, like, in terms of licensing and stuff, maybe some braiders like can or cannot wash hair and all those different dynamics, but like pricing and changes and what's going on in the braiding industry with the pricing, with the pre-rent.
For the most part, I believe this day and age, a lot of people are into instant gratification. And so what is the skill that I can learn? What is the craft I can learn? What is the thing that I can do that's going to acquire me money, quick, fast money? Yeah, fast money for a lifestyle that I want. You know, I think just like any other occupation, some people get into this occupation just doing it. Oh, I'm just going to do some here because I can do it. Or I could take a braided course and learn. You know, I think that's what it stems from. It stems from like, it comes from an unhealthy place. This drive comes from an unhealthy place. And so, you know, and a lot of us girls, like mostly braiders, are women. You know, we grew up doing each other's hair, and it's something that we get better at over time, and it's something that we're able to do. So we just get into it. A few do it to support themselves through college or motherhood. So I can't speak for every braider. I can't speak for every braider. I will say that there is a client for every braider because I know braiders that charge a lot. And they think, look, they get their clients. So they're a genius. To me, as a braider, I see that as genius because you found a way to still get fully booked and service these clients, and they pay you what you're worth. And so it just goes to show there's a client for everyone. And also, when it comes to braiding or looking for a stylist, it's not something you put a gun up to people like, hey, book with me. Like, these people willingly put in their information. They willingly drive their cars to their apartments, and they willingly send their money to these people. So they don't believe that they're getting duped or it's too expensive, in my opinion. So there's a price tag for everyone. I'm a braider that some people have looked at my prices and have said that it's not in my budget. However, you know, I don't take offense to that. And also, I don't believe that I am overcharging. So most braiders charge what they're worth. And that's the beauty in entrepreneurship. You can charge what you're worth. Some braiders charge based on how long it takes them to do something. Some braiders charge on, okay, you know, designs. They usually make my fingers cramp up more. It's more comfortable, and a comfortable experience for me. So I'm going to hatch a little bit on this because, you know, what else? I had something on my mind. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, I have seen prices myself. I'm like, sheesh, thank God I can do my hair. That's what I tell myself. My prices aren't for everyone. I know that. And it's not meant to be for everyone because there's a certain plenty.
So I'm curious too, because I think for a lot of people, this struggle is really like there's no it's almost like there's no consistency in the braiding industry. So I think to your point, right? Because from a service provider, it's like I have the agency to charge, but then from like the clientele perspective, it's kind of like, okay, if I go to this region, it's going to be this. If I'm in Atlanta, I know I'm about to pay. If I'm in insert other place here, like it could be a different experience versus like some industries where it's kind of like relatively the same across the board. But you also said like there's a clientele for every braider type. And some people look at your price. So I'm curious, like in your like price band, like what comes with that experience, right? Just for like conceptualizing like where people might want to fall or like how they should be thinking about their pricing and what they're going to get. Because a lot of people get braids to like maintain their hair for long periods of time and they want quality. And so it should be cost effective if it keeps for how long they want to keep, but just navigating that. So in your experience, like what all comes with the pricing for paying what you're worth?
So what is not included in my pricing is wash. And that is because in the state of Georgia, I'm not currently licensed. So in the state of Georgia, I cannot legally wash without a cosmetology license. So that is the only reason why wash is not included. However, blow dry is included in my services. So sometimes some of my clients, they would just come in like their hair twisted or for braids because I understand that not everyone knows how to blow dry their hair in a way to prepare them for braids. And so I like to take that stress off the client because what I don't want you to do is put unnecessary heat on your hair and you don't even get it to where it needs to be. And then you come and sit down and then I go with it with heat again to get it to where it needs to be. So I'll just rather you come and sit and then I do it the way it needs to be. So it's just smooth and it's not a lot of tension on your hair. I also had a snack cart that is complimentary that I provide to my clients. They can make coffee, they can make tea, have it snacks. I have ladies sanitary items, cold drinks. The hair is also included in my prices. I believe there are a few styles where the hair is not included if it's like crochet or like the super short hair. But for the most part, the hair is included. And I do offer, I believe it's about 8 colors I provide. So 8 colors I provide. Yeah, everything else is included, all the product.
And you also said that people maybe start by the hour or per length, and as well as like if there's more tension on your hands. So is that like all just for how you do your pricing? Are those things that you consider as well?
Yes. So my pricing is based on what length, because more length takes more time. I don't charge extra for hair length, or hair type as well. But I also don't charge by height. Some people will charge by height. Like if someone is 6 feet and they want waist length, that's different than if somebody is 5'0" but wants waist length. So I don't charge for that. However, I do let my clients know sometimes if your appointment time has started and I'm running, say, 15 minutes behind, that's just simply because I don't charge by head size. So if someone has a larger head, it takes me more braids, then that can cause me to go over time. Or if somebody's looking taller and to get to waist length, it takes me 2 extra minutes per braid, that's partially why. Because our heads are not created equal. So I don't charge for those things at all.
Yeah. I think that's helpful. And honestly, my face was like, this is new to me because I mean, I know we're on video, but I'm not a tall girly. Like, I'm not even 5 feet. So when you were like 6 foot people could get charged more to play, I'm like, now we're discriminating against our tall sister. They can't help it. But I've never heard of that before. I won't say, I understand it's a different in like the work from like your perspective, but it's also kind of like per the person, they can't help that they're tall. So
yeah, but
like
some braiders,
I've just never heard that before.
Yeah, but some professionals, they do charge based on their time. So if your style takes longer because of your hair length or your hair type or your height, they will charge you based on the time that it took to complete your service. So
yeah, so it sounds like for folks, it's helpful. It's helpful to like just know these things and consider like, do I want somebody that's going to charge me for the style? Or if I see them charging based on time, like maybe that's just where I don't like, if I'm 6 foot, like maybe I don't want to go to somebody that's charging based on time. And that's just the indicator that they can be on the lookout for. Since like the braiding industry is what it is and we can only manage our choices and our decisions and how we choose to vet people, those can be some of the things that we think about and consider just in our awareness of who we're choosing to do business with and how they're choosing to set up their pricing as well. I also appreciate you giving the context too about like washing, because some people feel like, oh, braiders, like I have to come with my hair already washed, but it's a licensure thing. And so I think really for their sake and you all's like abiding by like the laws and legalities in terms of, like knowing like if you're going to somebody that's a braider, like, and they're not licensed, but they're talented, very much so talented, like they won't do the wash, but here's all the other services and experiences that you can get. So just being aware of those things too. So awareness, I feel like takes away less of just like the guessing and the question or the animosity of having to do that pre-work when it comes to coming and sitting in the chair.
Mm-hmm. And from sitting from the other side, I do understand. I do empathize. When it comes to going to school, that is something that I am allowing the Holy Spirit to lead me in. If God hasn't led me to go to cosmetology school and invest money and time into that, then I'm going to stay in my lane because he has provided for me thus far. I do think my personal opinion though, if I could work here, I would offer it as an add-on. I don't think it would be something that would be automatically included simply because I have braiding styles that can take 9 to 12 hours. And so braiding is already a long journey. So I have some clients who are like, hey, you don't need to include nothing. I'll wash my hair. I just want to sit down and come get braided. And then you have some people who want the full experience, which I totally understand. And yeah, I totally understand. I'm just not the braider for you in that season, in that space. And that's totally okay.
Yep. And I think there are so many talented braiders too. So I think it's more so my comment to your point that like, it's just knowing what experience you want. Like if you want somebody that's going to wash and do all the things, if you see that, then now you know, like, this is what it means that they're probably not washing your hair, and you can use that for your own awareness. If you're somebody who's like, I just need you to come braid me down real quick, I got everything else, then there's your options too. But I think so many people just look and see all the different options, and it's hard to kind of understand why there are so many different options, like why the prices are so different, why some people are charging by time, why some people are charging by length, why, you know, like, and so it's all these questions of like, well, so-and-so is doing this, so why aren't they doing that? And from a clientele perspective, even when you're sourcing through information, it can feel overwhelming. So just understanding like that some of it is, you know, like the choice of preference, right? Like if they want to charge by length or all these other things, but then some of it like washes, those are actual like legal licensure things that have to be considered. And so you can go in just more aware, and it hopefully makes a better experience for the braiders too, when you're answering questions and explaining, and then for people when they're looking at information and trying to figure out who's going to work with them and who's going to work best.
For sure. Yeah, I agree.
Well, we are getting close to the end of our episode, so I'm going to ask you our 2 final questions. This has just been a fun conversation because I feel like everybody's getting their hair braided and everybody just wants to know what's going on. So what would some of your final thoughts be that you would share with women who are just out here trying to find a good braider and navigate caring for their braids, their twists, all the things? What would be some final tips you would have for them?
Okay. One tip I would give, just as what I was saying earlier, don't let numbers motivate you. Don't let followers motivate you. Like if a braider doesn't have as much followers, or if a braider has a lot of followers, don't let that lead you in your thinking that, oh, this braider has more followers, they must be more professional, or they must be more talented. But it's so easy to have numbers these days. All you need is one viral video. So I is when you go people, you know, page, you don't know what they want.
Yeah.
So I would say don't let numbers motivate you. Also, I will say as well, if you are someone who you're looking for more than getting a style, I'll recommend pay attention to where they take their pictures. In a sense, pay attention to the background, the environment. That will kind of tell you like, okay, this is kind of the space where I'm going to be in my appointment. Also, I would say as well, and I don't know if this is because I'm a little bit biased, but I am a home-based braider. I know some people can instantly be turned away from home-based braiders because, oh, you're coming into someone's home. And I can definitely understand some people's concerns and questions and curiosities concerning that. But what I don't want people to be closed-minded about is because someone is in a salon doesn't mean they're more professional than all home-based braiders, if that makes sense. Because some people can go to salons and have terrible experiences. And then also, I can say too, if you're looking for a braider, like say if you are more of a more relational person, a one-on-one person, maybe it might best to look for a braider who's in a suite. That way, you know, it's only you and the braider, maybe her assistant in that room, opposed to a salon where you're surrounded by different stylists and different energies and different conversations. Maybe that may not be the best fit for you. Maybe someone who's more home-based or someone who has a suite, that may be a better option. And then also location matters as well. Pricing matters as well. What braider fits within your budget. And also, what are your non-negotiables? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm willing to work with Or you could say, I have a busy schedule. I don't have time to wash my hair. So I need a braider who has wash included. I know I'm not familiar with hair colors and types of braiding hair. So I just need to find a braider where the hair is already included. So I can just come sit down and the hair is already provided. I don't have to stop at your supply store. I know I'm someone, I don't tend to have cash on me a lot of the time, or I don't feel comfortable walking around with hundreds of dollars of cash on me. So the braiders who are like cash only as the final payment, that may not be well with me long term. That may become an issue with me. So it's really great to look for braiders who have policy sites so you can read their policies. Policies tell you a lot about a braider. They really do. So if you're someone, if you don't want the stylist in all caps yelling at you, if you see that as yelling, take it as a sign. If you don't get a good vibe from the policy, that's the first telltale sign. If a policy or rule doesn't sit well with you, don't book. And if there's something on the policy that you can't oppose, such as if you're booking with a wig stylist and she says to drop the hair off a few days before your appointment, if you know there's something that you can't make work all the time, then just don't open up yourself to that relationship, because it's only going to bring strife between you and the client. And then now you're talking about your stylist. I don't know why she was dropping off here. Well, you can really booking with her. Find someone where you can just bring the hair the day of your appointment.
Yeah.
So I think I said a lot there. I think
you gave a lot of
the top thing that came to my mind. I think what also helps as well is a braider who shows their face frequently on the page. However, there are some really, really nice braiders out there, some really, really nice stylists that I know. However, it's just not in their personality. They don't want to be on camera. Every braider doesn't want to be an influencer. Every braider does not want to be a content creator. So don't let that judge your basis on their character, because they're really just some good people. Just does not want to be on the internet, but they are talented, skillful in their craft. So,
yes. And it sounds like, honestly, you just gave us so many tips to vet on. One of it is just like knowing yourself and being honest with yourself about what you want in an experience and what you don't want, and where you can compromise and where you don't want to compromise. I love that you said that you don't know what people went viral for. When you said that, that hit me in my soul, because I look at pages and I'm like, I don't know what's happening here, but they have lots of numbers, have followers. It's like, you don't know if they went viral for the best video in the world or the worst video or something. You don't know. And so, like, really vetting and even like looking at the quality of work, being mindful, looking at reviews, looking at comments. If somebody's on there like so-and-so last week and they won't give me a refund, XYZ, it's like, maybe I need to steer clear, right? Like, what is this animosity here, right? Hopefully that's not your breeding. But, really just doing your due diligence of knowing who you are, like vetting the policies, asking the questions, and also just saying like what you do and don't want to pay for. Like, I don't want to pay if they're charging me extra length or like for my texture or like whatever those things are. And knowing that there's a braider out here that aligns with you and that you can find them. Everything in life, we have to do a bit of vetting, especially in this world of social media. Okay. And then my last question for you. What is one affirmation that you would say to your hair right now?
I would say to my hair that you are loved, you are flourishing, you have come a long way, and this is only the beginning.
Oh, I love that. You're loved, you're flourishing, you have come a long way, and this is finally the beginning. Oh, that's my favorite question.
And you have a great owner.
And you have a great owner. She's taking care of you. She's putting time and love and attention into you. Make sure that you look beautiful and that the fro is flourishing, okay? I love it. Awesome. Well, Deonna, thank you so much for coming on to the show, for joining us for this conversation about braiding and the experience of braiding, questions that so many people have on their mind. I really appreciate you taking the time out to give your opinion and share your answers with us. And so for all of those listening, as always, thank you for listening and being a part of our community. Make sure that you share this episode with a friend who you think would really enjoy this conversation and that it would resonate with them. If you're not already, subscribe to our newsletter at the link in the episode description. And until next time, remember that all hair is good hair and your hair is good hair. We'll talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.